Okay. Now you gotta do do the thing.
Go.
No, I'm sorry. Do it.
Go.
This is
What are you doing?
This is the board game snobs. This is Jerry.
This is what happened when you you threw your phone like that, man. You get distracted.
I was trying to get my phone so I could, because Gabi uses the phone
to do the banter. This is Enrique, by the way.
We got to get this banter getting hot banter for everyone involved. This is Thursday.
Yes, Thursday. Did I say Tuesday?
I don't know what you said. This is Thursday, and we're having a fun time here at BGG. And today was eventful. I really enjoyed this today. We went to the exhibits.
Yes.
Everybody was like freaking out because there was a lot of good exhibitors there selling stuff. And Enrique made an observation that I thought was very astute. Do you remember said observation?
I feel like it was just a lot of games didn't catch my eye.
But something did catch your eye.
Which was a mug. Was it a mug?
It's not the mug.
Not
We're talking.
mug?
Yes, okay, the mug. Enrique bought a mug that's shaped like it's a horn. It's a buffalo horn.
That mug.
It's a buffalo horn mug. It's made from real buffalo.
I love that mug.
And
it's such a good mug.
And it's like something a Viking would drink from.
And what was the other? Because you know how my memory is. It's
you
just
said
my copy.
That the exhibits, the accessories caught your eye more than the games did.
Yes, that's what it was.
The various accessories.
It was basically what I said.
It
the same.
was exactly the opposite, but that's fine. But that was good. But I was interested. There was a lot of neat stuff.
But yeah, a lot of the accessories were more eye-catching than the board games themselves. Like the board games were like okay, they weren't.
There was no big game.
That's what it was. There was no big game that actually like popped out.
Nothing was popping.
It was just
nothing popped.
I was kind of disappointed, but that's fine though. The merch helped out.
It's something kids say. You know, younger people say merch.
Yeah.
My daughter was saying, Jack was saying the other day, merch. My daughter was saying, something about merch. I was like, where do you get that from? Well, people on YouTube.
Yeah.
They want to buy my merch. And so it's like merchandise. It's weird. I don't know why if I like that word, merch.
Yeah.
Sounds like that.
I can understand that.
Merch. It sounds like somebody from the South. Merch.
But
my name's Merch Engel.
So we went to the exhibit and then
we played a game there. We demoed the chocolate game, Dulce, D-U-L-C, Dulce, the chocolate game.
Yeah, the
I'm saying that right. Dulce,
yes.
Dulce. I can't say that.
I couldn't count score.
You couldn't figure that game out.
I couldn't figure out the scoring for some reason.
It's very weird. It was a very colorful game by Stronghold Game by designer Julio Nazario. That's a good name. You're basically opening cafes that are all having to do with chocolate. You have a little bitty small little player board, very, very small. It's like a grid of 4x8, and it plays almost like a roll and write, but except without writing. Like the one player takes a card off the deck. This is the number card, and you can use it to either build that cafe, flip it over, and use it as a field, kind of like in Gates Lo Yang, put some various different types of confectionery items on it. Or you can trash the card and use that to harvest whether it be coffee beans, chocolate, vanilla, and play those cubes onto the card you've already played. And they kind of engine build a little bit because there's some that use the byproduct of the chocolate, which is kind of weird. The color palette was hard for me to understand. Was it for you?
I don't know. I just know the scoring was very funky.
And yet you didn't understand it, but yet I barely beat you.
Yes, somehow.
Which is super weird. And so I don't know how I feel about the game.
Yeah,
but it was beautiful, and that seemed to be the game everybody was playing. So that's one thing. That was like the Stronghold games that was out there, and they had a box for Terraforming Mars, the dice game.
Oh yeah, I did see that,
which we did not demo. I don't think it was available. I'm not interested in that in the least. Not at all. Are you interested in?
I'm not interested because we didn't really care for terraforming Mars at all.
Not really. So we did, however, later in that day, meet up with Joffrey.
Oh yeah, Joffrey, the guy I've never met.
With Joffrey with a G. Jeffrey with a G.
Joffrey. I'm gonna forever call him Joffrey because it's going to stick with me for some reason.
And he wanted us to play games with him, for which we did, and we thoroughly enjoyed Inis.
Inis was a good game.
You had never played Inis. This was the new edition.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Just give me a moment.
There were cards,
and then
the win conditions were very interesting. If you've not played Inis before, it's a beautiful game with beautiful artwork based on some mythology from Ireland, I believe, or Scotland. I get those two mixed up. Sorry about that, Richard Simpson.
I almost won that game if you didn't screw me over.
I did something in this game I've never done before. I was a kingmaker. I fought you and Joffrey to keep you from winning, and Joffrey's soon-to-be wife won instead.
Yeah,
Rachel?
You let the wife win.
She's not the wife. Because they're not married yet.
Soon-to-be wife.
Soon-to-be wife.
That's right.
I don't know why he hasn't asked her. She brought that up during the game.
Yeah. It was like, no, it wasn't even during the game. It was at like the setup of the game.
So are you Jeffrey's wife? And she says, no, where he hasn't put a ring on it. And she said that very Beyonce-like.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't have a ring.
I'm waiting for it.
I'm waiting for it. He won't do it.
Oh.
That's super weird. That he's but she made it weird.
Yeah,
and that would be.
We didn't say anything, so Joffrey's going to have to deal with that.
He'll have to deal with that. Or you know what we could do? We could just act like this episode is his weird way of him asking her to marry him, and then she'll look over to him and be like, "Oh, is this your way? Is this how you had the snobs?" And he'll be like, "What?" And he'll panic. That should be it.
That should be funny.
Rachel, will you marry me? And we could get Gabi to impersonate him and cut his voice in. That would be super awkward.
I'll try to get it. Just try to record his voice and have Gabi cut in some words.
That would be awesome. That would be very awesome. Oh, poor Joffrey. So yeah, she won at Inis, the future Mrs. Joffrey, and then what else did we do? We really liked Inis. I know Gabi was kind of lukewarm the one time he played it. But it was. Did you you were?
Oh yeah,
fired up. Okay.
Yeah, I loved Inis because I was kind of I was all right with it, but then once it started going,
got kicked up.
It's
up a notch.
Okay, I like it.
Well, we really enjoyed the Inis. We then let's see, what else did we play after Enosh? We went on and played Blazon from 25th Century Games, a game that has some amazing artwork by Ian O'Toole, but we didn't really like it.
Yeah, no. It was some weird puzzle game that...
I wouldn't say puzzle. Well, it was just placing cards at certain areas and picking up and putting down. It certainly was not an affair for us. It was something that we didn't quite
It just seemed
with.
Very boring.
It just didn't... I love the artwork on it.
Yeah, and that's all it had going for it. Sadly.
And it just kind of...
But it was just you drawing a card, placing it on a board, and then doing that same process over and over.
It was very much lighter than what I thought it would be, I guess. So that kind of failed, which I was disappointed. But boy, the artwork was great. And it's one of those games I think if you enjoy... was it Kanigawa, which I really like, but that type of...
Yeah.
Taking a card, placing it a certain way... manipulating that thing. It was more of a tile laying game. Say that. But it was cards instead of tiles.
That's what it was.
We then played Sniper Elite, the board game, which was weird because you won it without sniping nor being elite. It was more like just...
It was just
don't shoot mediocre, the board game. So I didn't... Of course, I'm always the hunter on this stuff.
Yeah, because you're great at it.
So I was the Germans... And we were looking for you, and you were sneaking around as a hidden movement where I have multiple squads of 3 guys in these sectors. And Enrique has the typical, I've got my own hidden board. I'm marking where I'm at, and I'm trying to find him, kind of like Whitechapel. And then when I find him, we shoot at him but he also can shoot at us. And it's David Thompson, I believe, the guy who did Undaunted and War Chest. Oh. And he likes those poker chips. And so like the whole thing of the game is like when the sniper guy or your character shoots, you reach into the bag and you count up the spaces to the enemy, and you pull out these chits, and if you miss or take stress or expose, it's all determined by that. So that's interesting.
You almost caught me.
I almost caught you. The map confused me a little bit, and literally you just ran around
on that far right side.
You ran around us.
I was like,
it was very Hogan's Heroes.
It made it easier because my objectives were just very up top and on the very bottom on that right side. So I just...
Yeah, he just has to get to a certain area and activate this objective. And you would think someone would go, well, I'll just stand in this area and I'll find him. And it didn't work out very well for me. And so he managed to completely beat me without a shot being fired. No one got sniped. It was just... You ran really fast in the dark.
Yes.
And completed your objectives. It was one of the weirdest experiences, but I see why people would like it. So if you're into hidden movement, this reminded me of Spectre Ops. You remember that game where me and Gabi chased you? It was like very futuristic. I chased you with a shotgun, shooting at you, and we laughed, and then we never played it again.
I believe so.
It's very Spectre Ops-ish, except without the massive player powers, although there are player powers for each side. Lots of replayability with the different maps and different stuff that the sniper can take. Anyways, so that was actually
it was a
surprising.
Neat little game. I would like bring it just to like waste some time and just have fun with a friend.
There you go. Which is okay. Skymines, which is the Alexander Pfister reskin of Mombasa.
We were going to play that.
We sat down. I read the rule book. I was very excited. Pegaspiel. The rumor around the hotness here at BGG was everybody was very displeased with it. One, the color palette is very confusing. Two, nothing of the game was fixed. Like the book track on Mombasa is kind of broken. There's some aspects of Mombasa that's not that great that you won't win if you spend your time doing. And Skymines has pretty much everything but that. So it's like a better theme. It's not as troublesome as the Mombasa theme, but it's just I don't like it at all. The ugliness, it looked ugly to me.
Yeah, I didn't really like the art. Like even the little pieces were just very bland. There was no pop.
It was weird. It was just very weird, and I'll say it again. Oh, Alexander Pfister's best game is Hong Kong Blackout. I will die on that hill. Followed up by the second edition of Great Western Trail, which everybody was griping about. There was a lot of people not pleased with its new design and it not fixing some of the small issues that the old edition have. It was basically just not so much a second edition, just slap on some more colorful art that a lot of people were not liking. So there was a lot of grumbling about that. So disappointments on both of the new reskins at BGG was heard by, and I also reported on by the BGG hotness people. I talked to them to kind of feel them out what was going on. So very disappointing there. Speaking of dryness, we played another Dune game because if it says Dune, I'm going to play it. Dune Arrakis, again, a Gale Force 9 game.
It was just...
you want to talk about dry. You want to talk about the plainest board, plainest pieces, plainest... It
was drier than the Dune planet itself.
I thought this game was made by like somebody who just broke out chits and made it themselves. This looked like something. I can't believe they produced this.
It was just there was no thought into it.
I don't know. It was mechanics left over from something else. I'm very disappointed in that. What else did we play? Oh, so we went down to the hotness. I got to read the rule book on Flamecraft, the dragon game. Looks too light for me, but it was still, that was the game that people were very much saying too light.
We never got to play it. I never played it.
I haven't got to play it.
You haven't played it.
But I'm hoping to before we leave.
Be able to play it.
But that's the one that everybody was saying. It's light, it's fun, there's some more strategy to it if you think about it. People seem to like that. The other one that you played was the Woodcraft game that seemed to go on for hours where you are
elves. We're elves.
Collecting berries and woods and making bowls and cups.
Bowls, cups, violins, painting, picture frames, anything that I guess would use wood. Making wood.
Yes. You just make wood stuff.
A lot of wood stuff.
And you were there for a long time.
Yes. I came very low on the scoreboard, sadly. I got like lapped.
Yeah.
Essentially. But if I was to play it again, I think I would most likely at least break 100 at least this time.
Well, okay, it looks. I want to play it. It looked very interesting from what I saw, what little bit of I got to see. So that's another one.
It's insane because the scoreboard goes up to 500, and I don't know how that's possible.
Well, I don't know. We're 1/5 of the way there. The other game, I think it was Daniel Tassini. There was a lot of the Lapino, the group that does like Grand Austria Hotel. They have put out a lot of games. What
was that one game that you saw?
Tiletum.
Was it Tiletum?
The one that I sat down to kind of show you with the dice.
Yeah.
That one. So I played that previously, where it is a rondelle where you roll dice, you put the dice out on the said rondelle, and the color of the dice dictates how many, and the number on them, how many of that resource you're going to get. So if it's this color, you get this bunch of wood, and if it's 6, you get 6 wood. And of course, the higher the dice, the less the action. So a 6 will be on the one spot, so you can get 6 wood, but you only can take one action of whatever it is depicted. So you're basically choosing a dice, doing said action, moving a merchant around a map, building stuff, collecting things, putting them in your house. Very dry, very Euro, and I think, again, not just a brilliant design. It looks very nice, but very super dry Euro. Like something I would not... I just not sold on it.
It'd be just a game that we would play just to... if we had nothing else.
In terms of Euros, it just didn't do anything that tickled my fancy, but it will be certainly something that all the super dry Euro fans are going to want to look into. The one game that was a real hit for me, that I have played the most while I'm here at this con, was the game I had zero interest in playing, a Days of Wonder game called Heat, which is a racing game. And everybody knows how I feel about racing games. I don't particularly like racing games unless there's a hook to them, such as Downforce. I like Downforce because Downforce is more about bidding and betting, not racing. Really don't like Flamme Rouge or any of those other games. I have just none of them. Formula Day, nothing of them are enjoyable to me in the least. And I can say without hesitation that not only is Heat by Days of Wonder the best racing game I have ever played, it is one for which I will purchase, and I am shocked by what all they did with it.
Because the game itself is very quick in general.
Okay, so not only do you get the huge production that is Days of Wonder, the artwork very retro, kind of like a Ferrari versus Ford kind of coloring.
Like...
old school looking Formula One.
I even like the art of it.
I liked it.
It was like all the colors were very just out there.
You get multiple player boards, multiple double-sided player boards. You get your own little board with your little gear shifter. And basically what you're doing is, I don't want to call it a deck builder, although it would make you believe that that's what it is. It's a hand management game where simply you have a deck of cards. These cards all have numbers on them from 0 to 5. And you drop 7 cards and you look at your gear shift. If you're in 1, 2, 3, or 4, that's how many, that's the gear you're in. That's how many cards you play. You have to play outside your hand. And before you play cards, you can shift up or down. You can skip a shift, skip a gear, and gain what they call heat. And on your little player board is heat cards. And they do what all good deck building type games do. They clog up your hand. You have a limited amount of heat cards, and every time you take a heat card, at some point in time you'll need to take one, and if you can't, you spin out. Very simple. When you play these cards, you move along the track. There's other cards that you can get, such as stress cards that don't have a number on them. That just make you randomly play a card off the top of your deck. All this seems very light. The strategy comes from the curves. You can only take the curves at a certain amount of speed. So if it's a curve that has a 7 on it, you can only be traveling at a 7 speed. If you don't downshift and go around it correctly and you end up playing more cards and for some reason you end up going across it with a 9, you have to take the difference in heat cards into your hand. Which, if you can't do that and don't have enough heat cards, you wreck. If you stay in a lower gear, you cool off, you take heat cards out of your hand, you put them back. So it's managing the heat and the stress in your deck with a very small deck, back and forth, while trying to get in the exact position with the other players because you can draft around them, which is super cool. This game is very quick. All the players pick their cards at once. They lay them down, they flip them over. You move the cards, you keep going. And it's just boom, 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 boom. There is a legacy aspect of it where you can play all the tracks and score it up and play 5 games.
Because the version that we played was the basic version.
Basic version. So there's more versions of it where you get so many points. You play it like a cup. You see after so many games who's the winner. And each game is like maybe not even an hour. I mean, like I taught it and played it in an hour with 6 players. Seemed like.
Because I don't even think it was an hour at least. It was under an hour.
Everybody had fun. And so right after playing Downforce with Joffrey and his soon-to-be Mrs. Joffrey.
Yes.
And some other people, I was raving about it. They said, you should play it. And Joffrey was like, I'm buying this. This is awesome.
Like, I went to go do something, and you were there teaching them. Like, what happened?
I taught somebody. I left and taught another group of people. I like this game so much that when we were leaving the Hauntless room, which has people there to teach these games, a group of other 6 people showed up and said, are y'all leaving? Can we play this? And I said, yes. And one of them said something about, I asked, does anybody know how to play it? And they said, no. And I said, I am willing to teach you. I stayed behind and taught 6 random people who I had never met when there was an option to get somebody else to teach it. I taught them this game. That's how much I liked it.
I think now that I think about it, I think that's like your first time actually volunteering.
No, I've done it. I volunteer to teach games all the time.
Yeah, but like very passionate.
I was passionate because I have passion and violence.
Like
we've talked about this.
I'm just saying.
And I taught, and you know what they said when I got done? That was very good. The guy said that was a very good teach, and I thought, it was. That was.
Oh God!
I did a fine job there. Fine job, and I really like this game. And there's add-on stuff where you can add on to your cars. There's an advanced version of it that I didn't even look at. I want to buy the game just so that I can see what else there is that makes the game a little bit more complicated. This is the best racing game I have ever played, period. End of discussion. If you like to race, and if you like that little bit of hand management, and you want something that's, I think with more players it plays up to 6, but I've played it at 3 and still enjoyed it, because even though you're going around other players, you're still having to manage that deck. I'm all about it. So far, if I have to say a game of the con, unless we play something else, Heat, Days of Wonder, had no clue. It was not on my radar. It wasn't on my list. It was
an
unexpected pleasure. Absolutely. I loved it.
I did also love it.
Okay.
Wow.
So there you go. Gabi will need. So all the ones that Gabi were suggested, and I'll play this. We did not play a lot of games this con.
What was that big box game?
Mosaic.
Was it Mosaic?
So we set that up, looked at it, and had somebody kind of go over it with us. It looks all right. It's a Glen Drover, but we didn't get to actually. I don't even want to give an opinion on it because I didn't really get to play it.
Yeah.
But
I feel like it's just a lot of pieces.
There's a lot to it. It's very basic because it's Glen Drover. Here's a big box with a bunch of pieces, and you're going to be doing this thing. I'm sure it's enjoyable. I want to play it before I put it off. But that box was the heaviest box I have ever. Yeah,
you put it on the ground so I could pick it up.
I did. I laid it down. That was
very cool of you.
I laid it down. I almost
broke my back trying to pick that thing up.
You are fine. You are fine. You are strong-backed. Either way. So far, we are enjoying ourselves again on the second day of BGG. We have played several games, some of which we have particularly liked, and one that we really right now it's going to be hard to top. He's got it right now. If I'm saying I'll double down on my love on Inish. Okay. I really liked Inish.
I liked Inish.
I really liked Inish. Inish was one I'd played prior, but in terms of new games, this Heat, it has got me. It's got me right now. And this is a game I do not like. I do not like these types of games. So if I say it's good, it's got to be good.
All right.
All right. And we got to sign off. You got to.
Yeah. So we have to. Yeah. So you do it first.
I say we thank you, Patreon, to give us money. What else would Gabby say? He would say he does that whole dull monotone. We thank you for listening.
But someone has to. Someone has to.
Give us a like on Apple Plus and whatever. Like and subscribe. What does he say? Leave us a review. And I don't know what else he says.
Don't be mocking Gabby when he's not
him.
here.
I'm trying to think of what else he says. Oh, we thank you. He just says
what. He
has that soulless look in his eye, and he starts rambling. I'd like to. Well, I don't. Maybe you should.
We can't make fun of Gabby when he's
Patreon,
not here.
And we'll read your emails. And he's doing. He said something about doing a solo episode.
Of what?
Of just him talking. And I hear people like that for some reason.
Because Gabby has fans.
He doesn't. But people like. I don't know that. Like you listen to one person talk.
Yes.
With no inner. I don't know. People like it.
It's just how it is.
Yeah, I don't know. People, I used to think people just pitied him, but I think it's a genuine thing.
Yeah, like I genuinely like Gabby. Like I like listening to Gabby.
Well, I don't like listening to him. I like him. There's a difference. He had the disagreeable nerd. I listened to that before he stopped it, even though I literally never agreed with anything. I've heard you rag on it.
Let's say that.
I never agreed with anything on that podcast that was ever said.
Because he has Paige doing it.
And Paige, their opinions were trash. But I listened anyways to support him. Anyways, that's going to do it for us. This is Jerry.
This is